We're live. First things first, this is a completely new thing. We are calling it Product Leap. Um, should we call it podcast? Yeah, in that case, it's the best podcast about how high value marketers and founders have transitioned from being service based into product. So we are going to be interviewing people who are or who have been in those positions and just figuring out how they have journeyed through from service to product. And yeah, let's get started. I'm one of the hosts, Evgenii, running Tilipman Digital, which is my agency, and I'm service based. I have not thought too deep into going into product. It's something I definitely want to do at some point of time, but not something I'm actively pursuing at this point in time. Sofian and I met sometime last week and talked about a bunch of things, and we decided, hey, how about we do a podcast on products? And here we are 1 week later. Sofian, would you introduce yourself as well, please?
Yes, so hi there, I'm Sofian. I'm a MarTech consultant today. I'm working with an agency and I've been working with agencies for the past 6 years now. And MarTech is just a mix of marketing and technology. And in between, I found it super, purposeful and I love that. I'm also working on helping people with Webflow and growing their websites through SEO. And yeah, I have ideas about making a product in the coming months. And that's why we started to connect Evgeny. And today I'm super excited about our host, Julian, and to learn about all the facets about the product journey and the product leap, I should say, to stay on brand. So yeah,
Yes.
Julian.
Sweet. My name is Julian. Thank you guys for having me. And I can relate very much to both of you because I also worked in agency slash freelance for the first, let's say, 65-70% of my career. I'm very bad at math. That was never my strong suit, so that could be totally wrong. But first, I was a freelancer for a while, just doing literally anything. Like when you start to be a freelancer and you don't know all that much and your client goes, I want Google ads. And you say, of course, I'm a pro at Google ads, man. You've never done them before. So you do the Google ads, learn, client wants a website, which platform? Wix? I don't know how to use Wix. I'll figure it out. WordPress? I'll figure it out. That was what I did. And then after that, one of my clients, I actually ended up founding a agency with him, which is a marketing and Webflow agency. And that agency is called Veza Digital. I worked there for about 3.5 years. And that is also how I know Evgeny here. And yeah, so after that, with a few little short steps in between, I ended up transferring over to work where I work now at Memberstack. And the thing that makes Memberstack amazing is simply that it's a product. And we're going to get more into that, obviously, throughout this conversation and the difference between working in service and working on product. But it's also just an awesome company. And that being said, I still get the pleasure of working with a whole bunch of people who still work on service because most of our customers are freelancers, agencies, solo founders, whatever it may be. So that's a little bit about me currently with Memberstack. Absolutely loving it. And I'm excited to dip back a bit into the old days of switching from agency to something like this.
That's awesome. And yeah, funny that you mentioned Julian and I actually worked in the same agency. So at the time when he was transitioning from service to product, at that point of time, I just joined the agency. Did not know the guy. We met on a later date, but we'll talk about that later as well. And eventually we ended up working together as well in Memberstack, which was a great experience. Julian, now you talked a little bit about your freelance journey and that you did everything. You could make the logo bigger, you could bring a lot of traffic, use PPC. If the client asks, why isn't it converting? And your answer would always be, why aren't you paying enough? But jokes aside, when you actually got into the agency, what services did you offer? What was your role? Can you tell me a bit about what you were doing in the scope of that agency?
Yes. At the first, we were a team of experts, which was basically just two guys who had no idea what they were doing. My co founder at the time essentially was doing the sales and most of the client relationships, along with a couple of marketing things like ads and whatnot. And then I more or less did anything else. My responsibility there from the start when we were 2 people to when I left when we were about 40 people, mixed of freelancers, full time, whatever it may be. My responsibility was always just delivery. So, depending on the stage that we were at in the agency, it was either doing the delivery, finding someone to do the delivery, managing the delivery, so on and so forth. But we all just put it under the delivery umbrella. So if it had to get done, I was responsible for it in one way or another.
That sounds good. And what kind of different services did you offer, just for reference?
Okay, so the main one, definitely where we made the most money, was web design and web flow development. That was probably about 70%, 60, 70% of our revenue by the time I left. But along with that, we did all sorts of, um, we did some stuff for software as well, like planning out how the software is going to look, working with white label partners to get it developed. Then it comes back and we help with the managing, the branding, and some of the product management, if that makes sense. We tried to, with various levels of success, usually not the highest levels of success, to sell clients on marketing packages and whatnot as well. When you're trying to do that, if you have established yourself essentially as we are the web guys, we're going to get your website going. Yeah, good luck trying to sell them on a $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a month retainer for something they didn't even know you did prior to working with you.
So you said that the majority of the revenue came from web development and, let's say, web related services such as design and development. And obviously there was a pipeline of different projects, which was 30%.
Yeah.
Do you think that you enjoyed the whole spectrum of services you offered? What was the point that you enjoyed the most? What was the point that you hated the most? How did you manage the things that you basically didn't like? Clearly, delegation is key in kind of building an agency and developing, let's say, processes within the agency. But I just want you to walk us through your process of that.
So I'm going to answer your question in a way that doesn't really answer your question, and that is this. Working in an agency or as a freelancer, it goes really well when you are honest. And what I mean by that is if you are an expert at Webflow, sell yourself as an expert at Webflow. If you're an expert at ads, sell yourself as an expert at ads and be honest with your clients about what you do and what you don't know. Where it becomes difficult is expectations. If you have incorrect expectations with your client, it doesn't matter how good you, your delivery team, or anyone like that is, you are bound to disappoint them. You are bound to run into problems. So essentially, the things that went well were when the delivery team and the sales team were on the same page. The things that didn't go well was everything else, because you can't sell a project without even consulting the people who are going to do it. And that was something that I saw a lot. Whenever, basically, the success of the client relationship is determined in the sales phase. Now, don't get me wrong, you could totally mess it up after that, don't get too comfortable. But if you mess it up in the sales phase, if you promise things that you can't deliver, you promise timelines, services, which perhaps you're not the most suited to carry out. That doesn't necessarily mean skills. You may be the best Webflow developer out there, but if you're busy and your client needs something in a week, don't promise them that. Tell them, I'm so sorry, it's going to be done in this time. I'll try to help you find someone who can do it in that amount of time. If you lead client relationships like that, they will all go well. If you lead client relationships as in selling them something you cannot provide them, it's going to go bad. But the problem is, unless you are a one-person studio, aligning those different sides of the business, it's not easy. You have salespeople who are paid on commission and they want to sell. They're not bad people, you can't blame them, but they want to sell. That's their job. Their commission is not reliant on your delivery of the project. So if I'm paid on commission right now and I say Evgenii is able to do professional deep cleaning of my couch right now and everyone believes me and I take a commission, I don't care whether or not Evgenii can actually deep clean my couch. I took the commission. Can you, Evgenii?
For reference, I cannot.
Okay. I already sold it. I'm going to need you to be at the client's house in 45 minutes. You can do that, right? Shouldn't be an issue.
It's an issue. No, that's a good point. So basically your message is talk the talk if you can walk the walk.
Yes. And if you can't walk the walk, just don't talk the talk. It may look like you're going to make some money right now, but it's all going to blow up in your face as soon as it comes down to it. So just be honest, be transparent, and only offer your clients what you can do. The biggest mistake is to make that sale when you know that you can't do it exactly as they expect.
And this sounds like a big frustration point for you because, hey, you were the delivery guy.
Read between the lines.
Read between the lines, that's right. Was that the biggest hurdle or not hurdle? Was that the biggest breaking point that actually got you to say, hey, I'm tired of this. I want to do something completely different. Did you burn out, or what was the underlying context of you, let's say, going away from this specific agency? And maybe you worked in different agencies afterwards. Maybe you jumped straight to the product. So maybe you can walk me through that process. Like, what was your state of mind? How did you feel? Then your leaving point. What did you do in the first couple of months? And yeah.
Yes, there are some personal politics that I'm not going to get into that do play a part in this, but to go outside of that and just the overall, I guess, longevity of the whole service-based model, service businesses are the best way to earn quick cash now. If you don't know what you're going to do, you're sitting there with no money and a laptop, learn a skill, offer it as a service. There, you can't, you're going to be one in a million people who just builds a product right off the bat, takes off, you're making all sorts of money, and goodbye. That's not going to happen. That being said, that is the bright side of owning a service business. The downside is there are a lot of different moving pieces. Cash flow is very inconsistent. And by the time, let's say you're an established business 5, 6, 7 years down the road, to earn that dollar, you are usually working a lot harder in service than you would be in product. So I guess I was able to see, the certain months where it's like 150, 200,000. Next month, barely anything. Next month, 300,000. Next month, 20,000. And just completely like this, which is frustrating and makes it very difficult to run a business, especially when you have consistent costs like staff. So that was definitely a big thing. And along with that, I am always a proponent of doing things that pay dividends. Let's say if you do something now, like my favorite form of marketing by far is organic content, whatever that is, videos, blogs, you name it, because you do it now and it's going to keep paying you off. Paid ads, sure, you can do it, get a whole bunch of money coming in, you turn off those ads and you're done. Organic content keeps paying dividends. And that's the same thing with product. If you have a subscription-based model, you get a customer, that customer keeps on paying you. The upside potential is also way, way higher. And I could see that essentially, okay, if you start a product, it's going to take time to become profitable. It's going to take time to make you any sort of money. But by the time you get to that point, you are in a situation that, from my experience, from what I've seen, is incomparable to running a successful service-based business, just because you are essentially, our team at Memberstack, we have the power to, let's say, take breaks. We have the power. Last year, we spent, quite a while, I think like a month and a half, focusing on a completely different product called Memberstack. Memberstack, we made Memberstack. Awesome product. The domain is trymoneystack.com. It's free and it's still live. But you have the power to do stuff like that when you have a product-based business because the MRR keeps rolling in. When you have a service-based business, if you stop, your cash flow stops as well. So that was something that really made my next step, what I wanted it to be, was to be product. After that, I did actually, as you said, I did work in another agency. And again, I'm not going to get into that one too much in order to save the faces of some people. But let's just say it reconfirmed my opinions about working in the service industry. And again, not so much that service businesses are flawed by default, because that's not true. What? The biggest businesses in the world are service businesses. How am I forgetting? IMB. Is that IMB? What is the name of that big ass company? Didn't you work
IBM.
for IBM? IBM.
I worked for PwC, but
UBM. I know BM. Yeah, you worked for PwC.
I worked for PwC.
Yeah, but service businesses are not inherently flawed. That being said, they require very good management, very strong organization, and all sides of the business being intertwined. And from my own experiences, I can see that's typically not the case, and you're usually in a chaotic shit show more so than the other way around.
Understood. And yeah, that seems like you had a lot of frustration getting from point A to point B. At what point did you get in touch with Memberstack? What was like the hiring process like? And also, I think we did not mention anything about your specific role in Memberstack. Maybe you can cover upon that as well as you explain your, let's say, transition from this service specific. I quit this as a whole. I
Yeah.
reached out, or they reached out, or whatever. I got hired. I got this role, and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I can answer both with one question. So basically, when I was still at the agency that I had co founded, I had decided that I would like to start heading towards product. And there was one specific, I remember vividly, I was actually building something using a certain product with Webflow, and that product is Memberstack. And I thought, well, gee, I really like this product. And also, I see Duncan, one of the co-founders of Memberstack. I see him active in the Webflow community, very pleasant guy, and all of that stuff. So I decided at that time, and this is my recommendation to anyone who's looking to make any move in their career, whether it's service to product, grocery store worker to Webflow developer, whatever it may be. I simply reached out and I said, I love Memberstack. Can I do anything for you for free? This is what I do. This is who I am. This is my company, and this is what I focus on. What are you working on, and how can I help you with that? I don't want money. I simply want to help you. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but something along the lines of that, saying, I just want to help you now. We'll see what happens. So I ended up speaking with Duncan. He talked about some of the things that he was doing. I gave him some advice. And then actually, when I was working for the second agency, after I'd left the first one, he ended up reaching out to me and saying they were looking to invest more in marketing and he wanted to talk to me. This is why I say, if you're looking for clients, I know cold emails saying, I will make you a new website for $3,000. I know it feels like you're going to make money fast. Just don't do it. Just build good, strong, genuine connections on the basis of trying to help people. They will pay off. My recommendation to you, if you're trying to do that, is reach out and talk to 100 founders. I only reached out and talked to one, and even that one paid off. So literally, I ended up doing that. I ended up getting Memberstack essentially as a client of this agency. One thing led to another. I ended up not working with the agency, but me and Memberstack, we had a really great thing going. And we didn't feel the need to stop that by any means, so we just kept it going. And yeah, essentially what I was doing at the start was, we have, if you go to the Memberstack site, a whole bunch of components. It's literally just free Webflow components, some of which are Memberstack related, some of which are not Memberstack related, but it's free stuff for Webflow developers at the end of the day. So we essentially, Memberstack wanted to focus on marketing through those, just making a ton of different components and organic traffic, making our own existing customers like us more and all that stuff. So that was what I did at the start. It was literally just making components. And then as time goes on, started to think about a couple of different things that we could be doing. One is how we can do components in a different way. Let's say get some certain other kinds of components, how we can improve the SEO on them to make it so more people see them. And then I ended up making something called Memberscripts, which is essentially, if you know what FinSuite Attributes is, it's a little bit like that. It's an attributes-based solution to add power-ups to your Webflow site. Now with Memberscripts, you actually get access to the code, which is cool. But anyways, besides the point, ended up coming up with another idea to do that. Then ended up doing a bunch of free templates. Then I had the idea to do paid templates, which we tried, and we worked together on that one, Evgeni.
That's where I come in.
Yes, so if you want a Memberstack paid template, you're going to see Evgeni's face somewhere because he made quite a few of them. And so we did that and a couple of other things. And my role, essentially, taking the fact that I came on as a freelancer and then just slowly shifted to full-time, I never really had a job title. Now, I can't be like, I am this at Memberstack, because I don't really know exactly what I am at Memberstack. I know what I do.
I would say a good role for you throughout your career would be Chief Everything Officer, because you're doing everything throughout whatever structure you land into, be it an agency. And from my personal connection to you, I know that you've done everything wherever you landed, including Memberstack.
Yeah. That's what I like to do, is just get involved in a whole bunch of different things, see what works, see what doesn't work. And that's a big thing as well, is just playing to your strengths. Because me, for example, something I realized when I was working in agencies is I'm not the kind of person who likes to, let's say, do one thing, dig really deep on that for years and years and years and years. To do something, test it out, prove its value, move on to the next thing, test it out, learn it, prove its value, move on to the next thing. So my role at Memberstack has really transitioned into this. So I do also work with someone else in the team, Molly. Hi, Molly, if you're watching this. And Molly focuses on content. Other than content, which is huge, that's like our primary source of traffic. Other than content, I essentially am like, I really don't want to give myself a douchey title right now. Hold on. I'm going to say, no, even that's douchey. Let's say,
How about we do this exercise?
all
Give
right.
yourself as douchey of a title as possible, and Sofian and I will try to roast it and break it down into something more realistic.
All right, yeah, humble me. So I'm going to say, hold on. What I do is, at this point, I basically come up with something that we're doing for marketing, and then I evaluate it, and then I hire someone else to do it, manage that, or do it myself, depending on what it is. I am the marketing visionary, Evgenii. Is that douchey enough for you?
Yes, Sofian, reckon.
No, no, I think it's perfect, mate. You nailed it first time. No,
It's too
what
douchey,
about?
though. Humble me a bit.
No, yeah, of course. Chief Innovation Marketing or Chief Marketing Innovator, something on LinkedIn. But I perfectly get what you're doing, and I think it's
Yeah,
crazy. Good.
it's fun. It's a
Yes.
really, really fun role,
Mm.
whatever it's called. And I work a lot with the community as well. Reading the Webflow and now the Bricks Builder forum is become a pretty common part of my job, which is really nice. So I get to also work directly with the end consumers. It's not just like I'm this guy in his chair who has no idea what's going on, which is really nice because you can quickly lose touch with your own customers or clients still. If you work in service, but you're, let's say, you're some executive at the firm and you never have to deal with clients, you can very quickly lose touch. I remember my role at the agency that I co-founded, it originally was directly working with clients, and then it transferred into not, but working with other people. And then I eventually transferred back into more working with clients. And you really quickly lose touch. If you spend a year and a half away from clients, it's easy to forget about all of these issues that you encounter with them. It's easy to, let's say, brush off the things that the delivery team says about the client. It's easy to say, okay, the client just wants that, just do that for them. Why wouldn't you? When you're off over there in your high chair like a little baby who has no problems, but when you're the guy on the ground who has to deal with it, it's a different story. Random tidbit of advice, whatever you're in, service, product, agency, SaaS, whatever it may be, you need to keep your boots on the ground. If your role means that you are in your own little separate area, you need to force yourself to go back on the ground every couple months, or you're not going to be able to do your own job right.
And beyond the ground is talking to users, talking to people, right?
Yes, it could be talking. It could also be doing. One example for me is I spent a lot of time on just making certain scripts and stuff like that, but I wasn't really using Webflow too much. And up until recently, our entire focus was on Webflow developers. So I'm sitting there and going, gee, I haven't really done much in Webflow for the past like 6 months. How am I making things for Webflow developers right now? So what I did is I said, gee, how can I get in touch with my inner Webflow developer once again? So I figured it out, decided it makes perfect sense for us on paper to redo our marketing site. So I spent a month, maybe 5-6 weeks actually, just straight up redoing the marketing site, 8 hours a day in Webflow all day. And that brought me back into that point. But yeah, no, it could also be talking to customers. It could be talking to clients, anything like that, but just get yourself on that level, not the organizational level, but the execution level every now and again.
So before, Evgeny, do you want to roast the title or can I ask a question about timeline? Because before the first message you sent to Duncan and the first time you got hired, how much time is it?
Oh, I am going to say about 7 or 8 months. I think it
Mm.
was about 7 or 8 months. And that's what I've seen in the past is building these connections. it's not good to do it thinking that I'm going to get something in the next year out of it. This was actually, I believe, in less than 12 months, but usually it's going to take 6 to 18 months to actually get anything to come out of this, because I wasn't waiting for a job post saying, we're looking for a marketing agency, we're looking for a marketing guy. I just simply reached out. Does he need marketing right now? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. But eventually, if you are a valuable person, you have valuable skills, you're going to be needed at some point in time by the majority of people. I can't reach out to like the owner of a factory because they probably aren't ever going to need my services. But if it's somebody who does what, they need what you do, it's always a good idea to reach out. And what's going to come out of that? Maybe a job, maybe a client, maybe a referral, maybe a friend. You don't know what's going to come out of it. All of those things are good. Yeah, if you're looking to make that move, right now, think about 10 products that you like and you use. Think about what you can offer to them and just reach out to the founders and say, I like your product. How can I help you? Again, I was literally 1-for-1 on that. So I'm assuming if you did it 10 times, you'll probably get at least one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I could roast the title, but I think it's very fitting. You do so much, and there's nothing to say. You're just the type of guy who does not like titles and who likes to be grounded, and that's fine.
Guy who likes
For us,
marketing shit.
for us mortals, I think the title is very much needed. But yeah, jokes aside, I have a question for you. So you transitioned fully into product.
Yeah.
Looking back, what are the highest points and the lowest points of the transition? Like clearly from what you've been talking so far, I can say that you like where you are, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about the highest and the lowest points of the transition.
All right. I would say the low point of the transition was the transition itself. I told you I was working with another agency, ended up working with with Memberstack as a client, and that was its own ridiculous situation for a million reasons. But that's something that I hope isn't going to happen to any of you, anyone who's watching this. But just to talk on the actual, I guess, the things that were new to me and the things that are difficult when it comes to working in product, I would say, yes, I am working at Memberstack. So happy. I love it. I love the people I work with. I love our product. I love everything about it. And I just love working on product instead of being a service provider. That being said, there is one thing I can think of that is pretty difficult. Working in service, I'm so used to these quick returns. We do some kind of initiative. We do some, I don't know, cold email or something like that. Clients, money, boom. Product is a very slow burn. Like, I'm not a founder, obviously, of Memberstack, but I know Memberstack came out in 2019 and they were working all day, every day on this product. You're not making any money. You're not making any money. Goes on and on. And then eventually it starts to pick up. But even when it picks up, you're still not making that much. It's slowly, and then, you get to the point where you're making a lot of money. And even though I came on to this company, with a good revenue and I'm on a salary and all of that. Still, something that I've always loved in my career is chasing that thrill of growth. And the growth that you can see in a service business is not easy to see that quick growth with a product business. If you have an established product business, your growth is more or less like this. Now, there are situations and products where out of nowhere you do something and you go viral on TikTok and that can happen, but you shouldn't rely on it. Usually it's a nice slow burn. I see results today for something that I did 6 months to a year ago, if not more than that, which is a little bit difficult, trying to track your success, trying to see what works. And I'm the kind of person where nothing motivates me more than seeing results and seeing that they worked. So I need to look into the future a little bit to see, is this going to pay off, to decide if I should continue working on it. And I do actually find that quite difficult because my easiest situation is I work on something, it works, I keep working on it, it works, I keep working on it, it works, I stop working on it. It works. That was beautiful. But you get what I'm saying. So that is one thing that is definitely a bit of a shocker when it comes to working in product versus service, is that growth takes a long time to see the results of that. But again, as long as you're patient and you take a deep breath, a lot of the Memberstack team is very into meditation, which is probably a good thing. I mean, for anyone, but also if you work in product, Or if you work in service and you have clients to deal with, meditate. That's the point of it.
Yes, sir. The lessons learned, if you had to look back and change a couple of things that you have been doing up till date, let's
Yes.
say biggest impact things that you have learned from, what would they be?
Actually, I have an interesting one for you that I did not remember until you just asked me this question. And that is, having worked in marketing agencies for so long, everything worked. What does that mean? We do something for a client, we take a look at the numbers, we see some beautiful numbers, we send them to the client's happy, and we continue. So that was essentially my way of gauging success. It was go into analytics, find numbers that prove that it's working, and then carry on. Because when you're essentially, as a marketing agency, you're paid on your perceived value, not your actual value, but your perceived value. You know, not to say I was trying to scam anyone out there, but obviously my goal to keep the client is to show here's some success that we brought and getting those numbers. And so when I move over to Memberstack, obviously ethos, my thinking, it was the exact same. It was I try this, I find some numbers that support that it's working, and get buy-in from the rest of the company to continue doing it. But the thing is, numbers are a strange thing. Even if numbers look like they prove success, it doesn't actually mean that that is a worthwhile investment of your time, of your money. You have to look at the entire picture. For example, take a look at any politician. Any politician, no matter what country you live in, no matter how bad it is politically, they can say, well, I've grown the economy so much with these 5 years that I've been in power. They can show you anything they want to show you to make it sound like they're doing good. But what is the real situation? And I guess thought I was so good at measuring success. I thought I was so great at measuring success. But once you get into a situation where words are meaningless and only real success is worth anything, it's a totally different game. Because now I'm not just looking at, okay, conversion rate rose, that means I'm doing good, that means the client will continue paying. No, it's how much money am I actually bringing into the bank account of this company and how much am I costing them to do it? And that's not an easy number to measure, but it completely goes from perceived value to actual value, which definitely isn't easy.
Have you found a way to measure that?
Oh, depends on what, honestly. But I would say the best thing that's come out of it is more of an understanding that we don't know. And so our eyes are open to new things. We're not just going to take a number and say, it's working, it's good, let's keep doing it. We take a number, go, that's a clue that it might be working. Let's see next month. Let's see next month. Let's see next month. Let's see in a year from now, and always reevaluate these things. That's essentially the formula that we've come down to. It's don't believe anything, continue to reevaluate. If we're doing something this month and it seems like a great idea, then reevaluate next month. Figure out how much we're willing to gamble on a certain initiative to see if it's going to work, and then reevaluate at the end. Because if you were doing that, let's say for clients, it's as simple as do it, show them the paper. They decide if they want to keep going or not. Their bank account's on the line. They're going to tell you if they want to keep going. But when it's completely on you to figure that out, because we're not a service provider, we're providing services for our own company, you have to be really critical with these numbers and constantly be judging them. And instead of trying to find the good outliers, you're trying to find the bad outliers. It's a completely different way of studying analytics. It's interesting.
Essentially, you're looking at the big picture, you're finding the things that are working horribly wrong, and you're literally saying, huh, here are all the good things. I can fall into a bias looking at them, but I should not forget all the crap that we have on this other side, and I should clean this up before it eats up the company profits.
Yes, because when you're a service provider, and I would never sit here and say that neither myself or any service providers who do the exact same thing as me, I don't think that's necessarily unethical. I don't think you're trying to pull the wool over your client's eyes or anything. You, as a service provider, are looking and trying to find some proof that this is working. You find some proof that seems like it's working, and you show the client, and it's up to them to make that decision. We could do the same thing here at Memberstack. We could just find some number, say, this is working, let's stick with it, let's keep going. But eventually, these new customers are going to start dropping. Eventually, it's going to become very obvious what is and isn't working. There's no, it needs to be accurate. If it's not accurate, you're only lying to yourself. You're only hurting yourself.
Understood. From all your experience so far, could you tell me if you feel like your jump into product was worthwhile, and which one do you, at the end of the day, if you're drawing the line, is there like an absolute value of I love what I'm doing, I never want to switch? Or is there I could have done service in a better way? I could do this, I could grow my own company. Like usually it's you're weighing in the pros and cons. So
Yeah.
if you're like looking back and weighing the pros and cons at this specific moment, what's your final word on that?
I guess to simplify it, I absolutely love working in product and I hope that it stays that way for the rest of my career. That being said, my negative experiences in the service industry, that's not necessarily, there are certain things that I said that apply across the board. Uneven cash flow, stuff like that. That is the case no matter how good you are at offering your service. But there's also a lot of things that I could have done much, much, much better. I don't think my difficulties in the service space are something that everybody will experience in the same way. And what I can tell you is this: while I would love to work in product for the rest of my career, if at any point in time I don't know what to do and I'm absolutely broke, the first thing that I'm going to do is get right back into service because, again, that beauty of instant, quick cash flow cannot be replicated with product. If you're looking at building your own product, don't just say, got a few $1,000 right now. I'm going to build a product, market it, and then hopefully by the time that money's gone, I'm going to be making money. No, you're not. At best, you're going to be losing money for a year, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four. And you have to be okay with that. So if your goal, your ultimate goal, your mecca is being in the product business, what you need to do is this. Your first step, open a service business. And then while you're making money from this service business, live a humble and modest life and invest your extra money into your product. And eventually, this product will take over your income and you no longer need to do service anymore. But you can't just jumping into product would be like me walking down to Hollywood right now. I'll be a far walk from Serbia, but walking down to Hollywood and saying, I'm a great actor, everyone. Believe me, I want to be in the best movies. They're going to go, whoa, dude. You got to be a waiter for a few years first. You got to kiss some asses. You got to go here. You got to go there. You got to do this. It's not a fast thing. It's not like you can just go down there and break into it. You can't just go in and become rich off your product on day one. You can, but don't expect it. That's a 1 in a million case.
You've got to be a great bootlicker to make it happen.
I assume in Hollywood, yes. In product, you just got to be patient.
Or spamming everyone on LinkedIn.
Yes, yes. Minimum 800 word count in your message, of course. Hello, sir, ma'am.
Naturally. All right. And I guess now we've burned the bridges. We all know that, hey, you would want to stay in product indefinitely, at least, I would say at least 5 years horizon is a good mark. Do you have maybe five names or like a couple of names of different product providers or founders or anyone within the same niche, like not niche of Memberstack, but actually product based, who we should talk to, get to know other people who have backgrounds in both services and products?
Mm, one guy who I think would be really interesting to reach out to. Actually, I've got two. One, it's a guy named Ian Ruda. He made a product called Super Sparks that actually works with Memberstack. He is, I believe, newer in his product journey, but he's built a really cool product. And what I will say is he actually made comments for Memberstack, like comments that you can add to a Memberstack site. And then after that, we made comments. And at this point, it's looking like his comments are more feature rich. So it's looking like he beat us in the comments aspect. He seems like a really cool guy. There's also a guy named Connor who's building an affiliate marketing tool. Let me just check for you quickly what it is called. I believe it's called Promote Kit, and his name is Connor McSwain. Let me see. So Promote Kit. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, it's called Promote Kit. He's a cool guy, also fairly early on in that journey, as far as I know. Some other people who could be interesting to reach out to. Let me just give a quick check. Who could be who could be a good conversation for you to have? Perhaps somebody from Flow Ninja as well. I know they're working on a couple of different products, and I'd be interested to hear from them how they're using their service business to float their products in the meantime and what their plans are for expanding in the product space. That would be a very interesting conversation. There's also the guy who made Formally. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. You're muted, but yeah, I'm gonna believe you. Probably that.
I just call him V.
V. Reach out to V. That's another very cool product. And let's see, we're at 4 right now. I want to get you one more. Let's see. Let's see. I may have to leave you at 4 right now, and after this conversation, I could probably find a couple more.
That's plenty, and I think we are going to leave all of these in transcripts anyway, so that people can check out the works of different people. Let's do a quick exercise. Let's say you're talking to a freelancer or an agency owner. Let's say, hypothetically, could you give me a 30-second pitch of why the hell I should run from whatever I'm doing?
You have however many clients you have right now is what you have bosses. Everyone who likes to, say, I'm an entrepreneur, I have an agency, I have this, I'm my own boss. You're not your own boss, buddy. You got 15 bosses who are asking you every single day for something. And now here's the thing. I could take that and say in product, you have thousands of bosses, and those bosses are your customers. And that is true. That being said, typically when you only have 15 bosses, losing one boss is a very big hit. When you have 3,000 bosses, losing one isn't. It's going to happen every day, and you're going to get another one. So, yeah, just tell yourself, remember, you're not your own boss. You got 15 bosses.
Amazing. Amazing.
Hey, thank you so much. Hey, what are you working on right now? Is there anything that you would like to share with us and share with the people who will listen?
Yes, yes. I have been getting really, and we. So we recently released our WordPress plugin. I've been focused on Webflow for 7 years. I haven't touched WordPress in a very long time. And then about 5, 6 months ago, just started getting back into WordPress again. We just released our WordPress plugin, and I have been using WordPress and Memberstack quite a bit to make. I just made something called the Bricks board, which we just launched. So if anyone here is familiar with Bricks Builder for Memberstack for WordPress, it is amazing. So if you have some WordPress horror stories, what I can tell you is this. Bricks Builder has the same building experience to what you get in Webflow, with some differences, some good, some bad, but it's a very similar experience. I have been absolutely loving it, and WordPress is limitless. That's what I really like about it. Anyways, what I've been doing is making a free and public community contribution-based component library, that's a mouthful, for Bricks Builder. So essentially you can go to bricksboard.com and just copy components directly that we've made. So I've both been making and managing that site and making the components. That has been my personal main work right now, and I've been having a lot of fun doing it. And something that I love about working in product and the work I've been able to do is that I'm able to spend 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks working on something like that to truly see it out to the end. Whereas I remember redoing the marketing website back when I was working in agency. It's like, we got 4 days to do this because we got client deadlines coming out the wazoo. Working in product, you can actually take the time to give your all to stuff like this, which is really nice.
Awesome. All right. I think that our time is coming to an end. You told us about the people, you talked about your own experience. How can people connect with you? Can you give some social handles or your WhatsApp number?
No, I'm not going to give my WhatsApp number, but what I am going to do is I'm going to remember my Twitter handle, and that is Galuzzo_Julian. It's a bit of a mouthful. GALLUZO_JULIAN. Reach out to me. Whatever you want to say, I'm here. I may not like it depending on what you say, but
There's also a member Slack that
yes.
is a Slack for Memberstack. You should also talk about that one.
Yes, yes. So go to memberstack.com/Slack. That is our Slack community where not only do we talk about things that are directly Memberstack related, it's also a whole bunch of freelancers, agency owners, solopreneurs who are building their products. And we have some conversations in there about what it is that we're building, both us at Memberstack and these customers. So you could connect with some really, really cool people in there. I know there's one guy who recently launched something, and I think they got up to, in a couple months, they got up to $300,000 like MRR, more than that. Anyways, so you meet some really cool people there, some people who actually you want to find people who are on their product building journey, go in there, find thousands of them.
Awesome. Sofian, your handles.
But yeah, no. So, Sofian, you can just connect with me on LinkedIn, and I have some couple products coming soon. So stay tuned. Evgeny?
Well, I don't have any products coming soon, but you can sure connect with me on LinkedIn. Evgeni Tilitman. Obviously, going to edit that into the transcription, and maybe spelling was not even necessary, so the mouthful was plenty. And yeah, thank you for your time, and I really appreciate the interview. And I guess just like from my own experience of knowing you, taking a step back and talking to you as if you're a stranger actually brought a lot of clarity in terms of, let's say, your viewpoints on the whole industry, on the world, and on your profession. So thanks a lot
Thank
for
you.
that.
It's fun to go down memory lane. This has been a good time. I haven't thought about the agency days in a little while now. I will say you've made me more grateful to be working at Memberstack and in product, and it's been a fun time. But one final thing to remember from me: there are minutes where I miss the hectic agency life, and if you switch to product, you will also have those moments. But overall, I don't need that anymore. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. We are very grateful as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to talk to you both soon.
Likewise.
Cheers, mate.
Have a great day. Bye.